video starts, about 98% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing and clicking that bell does help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support.
What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing you another TCG deck profile. You guys voted and I answered. Here is Mekk-Knight Orcust. This deck is a lot of fun. This is more of a deck concept again than just the pure deck. I still have a lot of labbing to do with this deck, and if y'all have labbing you want to do, please give me your ideas and feedback in the comments. This is going to be Mekk-Knight Orcust. It has a couple fun cards in here. A lot of this is going to be like just testing and seeing what works and what doesn't, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what works. So that's enough yapping. Let's get to the deck profile. There's some pretty cool cards in here. First, for our Mekk-Knights, we are on 3 Purple Nightfall. All of our Mekk-Knights have the effect where we can special summon them from our hands as an inherent summon. If there are 2 more cards in the same column as itself, and there's a free monster zone, it can summon it to that column. This guy on a quick effect can target another Mekk-Knight. On resolution, it'll banish that Mekk-Knight, and then I'll add a different Mekk-Knight from deck to hand. And then it'll return that Mekk-Knight, that banished Mekk-Knight, at the start of my next standby phase. So that isn't a summon, it's just returning it, so it doesn't count for stuff like summon limit and such. So it's very good for getting around problematic floodgates. Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall really does very well there. Next, we are on double Mekk-Knight Blue Sky, same Mekk-Knight summoning effect. This card has the effect to add Mekk-Knights from deck to hand equal to the amount of cards that your opponent controls in the same column as this card. So at max, you can add 3 cards with different names, which is crazy. However, most of the time we're only going to be adding 1, and if we're lucky, we're going to be adding 2. Next, we are on double Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse, the Move Man. This guy on a quick effect can target a Mekk-Knight and move it to a different zone. This card is actually very strong in our Mekk-Knight deck. It lets us set up our combos on turn 1. It really helps us put up interactions on our opponent's turn. It's just a very powerful card. Next, lastly for our big Mekk-Knights, we have 1 Red Moon. This guy can banish a Mekk-Knight card from our grave to pop a card in the same column as it. I believe it's only a monster, though. That's it for our big Mekk-Knights. Now, on to our little Mekk-Knight. By little Mekk-Knight, I mean Girsu, the Orcust Mekk-Knight. On a more special, it'll set an Orcust or a World Legacy card from our deck to our grave. That's important. And then this card is our 1-card starter for Orcust and a 1.5 card starter for Mekk-Knight. This card can create, if there's no other cards, monsters you control, you can make a token that's level 1 and your opponent gets a token that's level 1. Which is very important because you can put it in the same column as the Girsu, so you can start your Orcust combos. This card can also get our Ib combo started if we are going second as well, which is why we are running it. Just spoil a little bit, we are running Ib in this deck, which is nice. Just because it searches a bunch of our cards and we can just natively make it. We aren't going to be making it super frequently, but we can make it, so we are running it. Just because we can. There are other cards that are more optimal in its slot, though. Next, our Orcusts. We're a little bit heavy on Orcust this time. We're on double Nightmare. We are on double Symbol. We are on 1 Harp. And then because we are playing Ib, we are playing the 1 Brass Bombard, being a level 1 tuner that we can special summon from deck with 1 for 1. We also do have some nice cards in here that do let us get these cards out of our hand onto the board, which I will be covering a little bit later because I think it's honestly really slept on this card that I'm talking about, but I'll get to it. So these are our Orcusts. Since we are running heavy, Brass Bombard also helps us get Orcust out of our hand. Our Honorary Orcust, World Legacy, World 1. This is our only World Legacy card, so no armor or anything. We're going to be sending this off Girsu, if we do send a World Legacy. Our Honorary Orcust, Taylor and Sheeran. Can't not play her. Just very powerful. Next, this card is more for Mekk-Knights, but it can really help the Orcust strategy a lot. It's more 2 different cards than 1 card. We are playing Gen and Ken. On normal summon, Gen will special Ken to your opponent's side of the field, and then you get a draw. I believe it's draw 2, discard 1. Yep, draw 2, discard 1. This gets our Orcust plays started, and if we draw the Ken, we can summon the Gen, and the Gen makes us our opponent discard a card. This turns off Impermanent, puts a card in your opponent's columns for Girsu, so just an overall very powerful card. With this, it allows us to make Borreload Savage with Girsu, because it is a dark monster, and we can make it turn 1 and use it to make it a tuner if there's a card in your opponent's column on summon. So, you are playing these. I think these are very powerful cards in Mekk-Knight. I don't think it'll make Mekk-Knight very meta-relevant. However, I do believe it makes the strategy a bit stronger than it was without it. Next, for our spell traps, here are our Orcust spell traps. I've been going over them quite a lot, so I'm going to breeze over them. Babble makes all our stuff quick effects. Return, discard an Orcust or World Legacy, draw 2, and Crescendo is a counter trap if we have an Orcust link. World Legacy cards. Succession, Memory, Whispers, Secret. I'm going to go over these a little bit more in depth. Succession, it special summons a monster to a zone a link monster points to from your grave. It's just Monster Reborn. It's searchable, very searchable, so we are running it definitely. 1 memory, this special summons a Mekk-Knight from your deck, except it's returned to your hand at the end phase, and then for the rest of the turn you can't summon Mekk-Knights. This is something we can do on our opponent's turn. This summons our Girsu from our deck on our opponent's turn, like during their end phase, to just dump a Heart Pourer. So we are running one of it. It is searchable, and it can get our combos off if we have no other plays. We're on 1 Whispers. Whispers and Legacy goes hand in hand. These cards prevent your opponents from resolving the effects of cards that activate in the same column as your Mekk-Knights and negates them on resolution. So Whispers will negate spells, and Secret will negate monster effects. We're not playing the continuous spell just to save space in the deck. However, these cards are just incredibly powerful. This has the alternative effects to make a level 5 or higher monster gain 1,000 attack for the turn, and then Secret will special summon a level 5 or higher monster from your grave. So this one is very powerful for recurring your Mekk-Knights or even your Orcusts. But those 2 cards are very critical in your end boards because you really want to be getting Secret on board, because one of the main reasons you're playing this deck is because a card that is a Mekk-Knight with Secret only cares about Mekk-Knights being in columns on resolution. So if you summon a monster to a column that a monster's effect is already activated in, and on resolution there's a Mekk-Knight in column, the effect will be negated. So one of my favorite Mekk-Knights to do that with is Girsu. Girsu's a Mekk-Knight. And on our opponent's turn, if we do our combo correctly, Symbol Skeleton should be engraved to bring back the Girsu. So instead of bringing back Ding Girsu to have a send, we can bring back Girsu to have a monster negate. So it really just makes our end boards a lot more flexible with types of interaction. Next are one-ofs. We are on 1 Foolish Burial. We are 1 Called by the Grave. We are on 1 Reinforcement of the Army because Ken and Gen are warriors. And we are on 1 for 1. We do only have 1 target that I've shown so far, being Brass Bombard, but we can't just have 1 target, so I'm going to get to that other one a little bit later. Next, the Spice. This is a card that you guys have seen it before, but I think it might actually find a home in both Mekk-Knight and Orcust due to the issues the deck have with having cards in hand that they can't get out of hand or do anything with. And this card is Link into the Vrains. This card lets you special summon any card, monster, from your hand, and then immediately link summon a monster using monsters you control as blink materials, and then your opponent can't respond to the effects of a card you link summon this way. That is just insane. You can summon SP with this. Your opponent can't interact with the SP. You can summon Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar. Your opponent can't stop your Morningstar effect. You just can do so much with Link into the Vrains that I just think that it really finds a home in this deck well. It really lets us go first properly too in the Mekk-Knight build, because typically we have the issue where we just have too many Mekk-Knights in hand. We can't do anything with this. But if we can find 1 single normal summon, Link into the Vrains turns into a Link 2 of any Link 2 that we can make. So it's either going to be an SP Little Knight, or we can, if we have an Orcust or something, we can just go off into races. So this really turns our bricks into non-bricks. And lastly, our hand traps. We are on triple infinite impermanence. And then our last level 1 card, we are on 1 Veiler. It is also a tuner, so we can summon our synchros with that. Next, our extra deck. We are on 1 Link Kuriboh. We are on 1 Almirage. This worked with our Ken and Gen to functionally make a 1-card column for our Mekk-Knights. So we have to run it because our Gen is less than 1,000 attack, so we can make Almirage with it if we normal summon it. That's it for our Link 1s. Now for our Link 2s, we are on 1 Lib, the World Keyblade Master. This is a critical part of the deck. We do want to be making this early and often. Part of our end board is we want to leave Lib on the end board. So instead of just being IP Masquerena, it'll be IP Masquerena plus Lib. So the IP Masquerena will be carrying double duty when it Link summons. Speaking of, there's the IP Masquerena. Then we are on 1 World Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star. On the summon, you can discard a Mekk-Knight or a World Legacy card to search a World Legacy card. So this lets us add our World Legacies. Lib also searches our World Legacies, but that's only if you have a World Legacy monster or card in grave. You can only summon this if you have a World Legacy card in grave. So this is just a less restrictive Lib. However, it makes you discard a card, which Lib does not. So you can make one or the other depending on your hand, but it will functionally get you to the same spot. So these, just including one of each is just a consistency. Next, we are on for our generics. We are on 1 SP Little Knight. That's it for our generics. I shouldn't really have to say anything about SP Little Knight. If you guys can't afford SP Little Knight, just run a Nightmare Unicorn. I believe is probably like the best alternative. However, it is unfortunate that this card is priced out of a lot of people's budgets just because there's not really a replacement card, which is the reason why it's so expensive in my opinion. Next, Orcusts. 2 Galatea, 1 Longirsu. This has been pretty standard in my opinion, so running those. Lastly, as mentioned, Nightmare Unicorn. I like running Unicorn as well as SP just to give me a lot of options for removal. This deck is full of a lot of big bunguses, so we don't need to be playing Access Code or Brutal Sword. All of our monsters are big enough already. So we are not playing those in order to fit more fun stuff in the extra. Speaking of fun stuff, Ib, the World Chalice Justicar is here. We can make it. It does search our World Legacies. We don't have a monster to summon off of it, unfortunately. However, we don't need to get full advantage to be very powerful. 1 Baron de Fleur. We can make this as well. It just needs just specific material, to be completely honest. It's just like a Mekk-Knight and something else. So we can make this because our Ib is also a tuner. So all we need is a level 4 and a level 1, a level 6. We can take stuff as well. 1 Borreload Savage. All it needs is a Girsu plus level 4, like a Heart Pourer or something. So we can make this as well. And then lastly, 2 Dingirsus. That's going to be it for the profile. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you still are, thank you guys for voting. I will be probably doing votes again in the future. You guys got a lot of votes in real quick, so I will be doing that in the future for deck ideas, seeing what you guys want more than what you don't want. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.